disruption in Fed service at scale, and even loans going offline at a time when IMF is calling for another stimulus. Why? Because they consider financial crisis is going to hit the markets, and if the government doesn't support the economy, it won't stay afloat. As everyone points out that SEC has done all upside down in the wrong manner, these does matter, because this time Ripple have executed their upgrading. They upgraded the network, providing more service with higher execution time and improved efficiency. Now look at the first one here, and this is happening at a time, and then Brian is highlighting this. Brian highlights that you need a decentralized payment system, and RippleX is putting this one out, showing RippleNet is prepared. It is improving its efficiency, it's reducing its memory usage so that a lot more payments can be processed. That means it's now way more scalable than it was previously, right? So this is all happening at the same time. We had a bounce from the recent upside, right? So if you go into Coin Paprika, you can actually see this stuff there. We had a bounce from the recent sell-off, but do understand not every asset has done that retest of the sell-off. And it is really important that we break above during the retest to become bullish. Now, this is XRP chart on a weekly. Do understand weekly? It's long term. If you don't have patience to play this game, it would be really hard for you to even play this game. This XRP chart shows when, if you cross-examine this, it shows you different statistics with respect to the time. And that one is not bad at all. At least how I look at it, I'm really happy, because the way I look at it, it shows me that in next few days, we are expecting something. Now from this point, that's just 56 days. But those who, kind of jumped out of at the bottom, it's kind of, they waited for too long, but they didn't get that actual wave, and they are still waiting. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. I actually put out a basic of TA session, a lesson for my patrons, and I'm really happy with your response. It's not only one, guys. I actually received personal messages from a lot, and then comments showing this was really informative and I'm changing their lives, and I'm really happy about how this is moving, because if I can give you guys value, I'm really happy about that. If you are disciplined, if you are having patience, it's really changing your lives. Now, when you look at the charts, you do have to understand it's not only about one indicator. You're trying to align your indicators. Now, the term suggests indicators, so they are indicating something. So you have to go back into the price. That means how the market reacted at that time, and then see what the indicators are suggesting. Now, combine them both, you will get a little bit more clarity. And that's what we usually do here in the Scientific Investor channel. Now, with the fundamentals rising like this, and RippleNet being prepared at the time when Fed wire is having issues, and leaders like Brian Brooks are highlighting that, it's really important to see this. DDCC puts DLT at front and center of shift. Now, do understand this. They are a huge institution with a lot of back-end processing, which moves towards quadrillion dollar terms. So that's not actually a small stuff there. Now let's actually look at the charts itself, because before jumping into the XRP chart, I would also suggest you guys see this. This is link chart, which I've highlighted previously about 3 waves. First one, second one, third one. Now these are with measured moves. Now this is another token, which is SNX, which if you put similar indicators, you will understand similar measurements are there, but I'm not using anything. I'm giving this to you guys so you will be able to understand this next time. So this is the movement up. So you got 1 completed with that correction, 2 completed with that correction. Now this one is the third one. Now it's completely up to you whether you want to ride a wave which is entering its third wave. Now look at this one, this high here put by the price, which is at 7.5, and the high here around 20. Now look at the RSI, it's showing you a huge divergence and MACD is crossing to the downside. So that's how you look at the price and then decide what you should be doing. Here on a weekly chart of XRP, zoomed in, now people have a confusion, say this is a weekly chart of XRP, this is a weekly chart of XRP. The difference is, here you are analyzing the price, here you are analyzing the indicator with the price. So these are the difference which you need to know, because until you understand what really you are focusing about, it's going to be hard. Now here if you look at this, below this support resistance zone, the price has spent around 560 days. Now if that means this was a huge resistance till a particular area, then we broke above, but we came back below and then immediately went above, that looks like bullishness in the attitude. Why? Because say sellers were trying to push the price down and buyers were trying to push the price up, and each time the buyers reached this particular zone, sellers entered in more strongly and buyers were taking their profits and moving away. But at this particular area, it definitely looked like a checkmate pattern, and that checkmate eventually played out with a huge bounce. Now that bounce of November took us all the way up to 20 to 30%. Now that kind of a rise in just 2 weeks is huge. Now yeah, after which we had even Dogecoin pump like 600% in a day, so you won't consider this 2 weeks 300 plus 250% as much. But remember, this is an asset which stays in the top 5 all the time. Now, if you are looking at this, what you have to understand is, this time when the price went up, yes, we were not able to continue, we came all the way back down with the SEC news. But this is a scenario what you see in long-term charts. You can go back. Now this is a 4-hour chart. What I would do is actually go into another daily, 3-day or a weekly chart of XRP and take you guys to the previous level. So here if you are looking at this, you can see the price pumped, it came back all the way down. Now almost all the time when you're seeing these impulsive moves to the upside, it's basic sense here. Now it really tempts and tests your patience. Now this one you have to digest properly. Properly means properly. Why? This is the impulsive move. How many candles you got to rise this much in percentage? If you want to measure that, it's easy. For in terms of XRP, we went right 500% there. And how many number of candles was taken to reach here? You can actually use a measure tool here and put it. Now this is a weekly chart, right? So you put it from there towards here and you get 7 candles to do that 500%. Now what would you do? You actually put it from the next candle there and take it all the way to the bottom. Now you see 21 candles, still it didn't come to the bottom, right? So this is that impulsive move which we are talking about. That shows you the direction, macro direction of the asset. Now you zoom in, come to this consolidative area. Even in this consolidation, you can see same stuff. 2 candles up. Then we took like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 candle to the downside. Again 2 candle to the upside. So the momentum there is completely understandable. Now, after the same consolidation at a point, sellers understand, okay, this is not cool to hold selling this asset because they're going to lose eventually. And that's how they ended up moving out of the asset. Now come back here and look the change. Here you were having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 candle to the upside, or 7 candle to the upside, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside. So the momentum was kind of getting balanced, right? Even though sellers were on the upper hand, buyers were trying to push it. After which you see this fluctuation. They were kind of in a similar manner. Still, sellers were not able to push the price to the downside here. That means buyers had an edge there. Then this one, it kind of gives you that idea. In just 2 candles, if you measure from the bottom, 1, 2, 3, 4. In just 4 candles, you reached the upside here, and from there, it took consolidative weeks. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 consolidative weeks, and then the 5th one we dropped. Now, if you look at that, after the drop, we had a lot of consolidation when we bounced back. So again, come back here, what you see is like 2 weeks to the upside, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the downside to reach all the way back. But after which again, 1 candle to the upside, 2 candles to the downside. But they didn't even come towards the bottom. Another candle to the upside, and then it's continuing, right? This particular candle went all the way up towards this 0.72 mark. You can call this a pump and dump group, but the price did that. Now, those who look at the chart do understand that again you are getting same trend where the impulsive move is onto the upside. Now, that's on a weekly chart. You can zoom and go into a 3-day or daily and look at the same stuff which we've been talking about. Now, you can, in order to digest this properly, you can go back into the history at many different levels and see what I'm talking. Say an impulsive move here, then the correction, right? So here you see that it's kind of getting balanced here, but still the sellers were not able to push the price all the way back down here. They came here and consolidated. So that was kind of a rounded bottom or a checkmate pattern if you are looking at this properly, right? Now, go back all the way down here. We discussed that on a weekly. Now you look at that on a 3-day or a daily. It depends upon you. Now, I hope you guys got that idea. So still, the direction of the impulsive move is correct. Now, if the impulsive move and the direction was to the downside, it's bearish. Here, you can actually argue, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 candle, we came all the way back to the downside. But even if we took some time, we came all the way up and erased that here, right? So still, the buyers and sellers can argue that they are kind of having that war at that particular level where if it's 1% here or there, buyers can push the price up. Eventually, the sellers will give up. Or you can call this as a market manipulation at one end. But yes, there are possibilities for you to look at the market and understand what are the odds for you to win. Say here, you are looking 1, 2, 3, 4 candles to the upside. And right now, 1, 2, 3, 4th candle to the downside. But yet, you haven't reached the bottom of 0.36. But yeah, we don't know. This particular candle before the close can reach that level. Now, if it is bouncing before that, that's again a bullish candle. Now, to understand this, you can actually move into a monthly candle and just delete all of this stuff and then look at this. Just for your clarity, I would put this one out. If you look at this clearly, you'll understand one stuff. One candle here and still we are in this range. So before that, we were moving in this particular range for some time. If you look at this, it's not a small time frame in terms of number of days, right? 200 days in that range before we broke above. So if you look at this on a monthly, you get a checkmate pattern here. You came all the way back down, then you bounced, corrected, then pumped to the upside. Now look at this first one, second one. Now we had a correction with the SEC's misinformation there, but it's still playing out. Now look at the macro perspective here. When this is happening with the Fed and even a lot of different services are being disrupted, someone from government comes out, highlights, I was in the OCC and I had that leadership and I know what's going about, right? And now he's highlighting this further evidence that the US needs to think more seriously about a decentralized payment system. CBDCs versus stable coins. So they are looking at this. If that infrastructure needs to be provided, it has to be more secure, it has to be more efficient, it needs more room to scale. Now that the memory consumption is also reduced, that's substantial here. Look at giant institutions. That is the demand of the market. And demand of the market cannot be neglected by any governments. So they would slowly but surely try to implement these for where the demand is. Otherwise, if say US government is not going to enable these, the institutions will slowly move out. If they are going to be on the negative side, if they continue on that particular nation, they need to survive in their business. They will move because they are doing this for profit, not for charity, right? Because they can see the payment space is getting so much congested and the profit margin is being reduced. So if they want to stay alive, they need to be working on the infrastructure. Now, there are a lot of different news. I don't know how you put this one out, but while you read this, you can actually argue, yes, there was a case, it was going on, the court understood that this was bad, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I kind of focus on this area. They paid, you can actually see, right? Say the companies agreed to end all trading activity with New Yorkers and pay 18.5 million fine. So that means the case is kind of being settled. Now understand, this is about Tether. It's not about one asset. Tether stablecoin is one asset, but it's being used to manipulate almost every different assets, because majority of the assets have USDT trading pair, and that means if Tether was manipulated, other assets were also manipulated, right? So this kind of manipulation is based on the reserves, not about, just they are printing Tether from the sky and making the price of Bitcoin or others go high. It's about how their financial balances looks like. If they have 1 million in Tether, they should be having the reserves. If they have only 1 million and they're printing 100 million, that's kind of, we can't even call it, the reserve banking kind of system, because that's what our banks do nowadays. Previously was gold standard, then it was kind of 50-50. If you had $1 of gold, you can print $2. If you have, then it changed to $1 of gold to $4. Similarly, then they take out the gold standard. Now, it's something similar happening, but in a decentralized way. But why is this all getting so important? Now, when Brian Books highlights this, and Brian kind of shows this at the right time when these are happening, it's also important to notice this. Payment Infrastructure News tweeted this one out, showing in a new Q&A, DPS Group A looks at the future of X-border payments. So that's the cross-border payments which we are all focusing from all the time. It discusses the market dominance of SWIFT. Okay, so they understand that. Cool. And then the prospect of RIPPLENET and Worldwire. So what are these two? These are disruptive competitors, right? They're highlighting it here. Disruptive competitors like RIPPLENET and Worldwire. So if you don't still believe that this is the actual disruption happening, you're going to miss out on many different stuff which is coming soon. The electronic payment system used by the US Fed Reserve Bank to process transactions, including home payments, blah, 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 crashed Wednesday. So it's not only about remittance, it's about all type of transactions, home payments, mortgages, fundraising, everything involved with money in the nation. So that's why this becomes really important. They need a decentralized protocol which have the efficiency to do this. And that's why now you come back again towards this and you understand this. Okay, now this was the peak here in XRP. What was the price doing? Okay, it peaked and the resistance was the moving averages. It came all the way back down. Now, next time when it went up, it reached similar area. The moving averages were acting as a resistance, but it took like 115 days. Now, if you place this clearly, you'll get around 112 or 115 days. Now, after which it did the same stuff, went back up to the moving average and it took like 175 days. Now again, if you do this here, you get like 119 days. So that means from this top, it went down and then it went to the upside. All happened in 120 days, say for average. Now in that 120 or 115 days, the bottom end, that means the last 35 days, it pumped to the upside. That again means majority of the time the market was going to the downside there, right? So you still have that tendency in a bear market. So we are still in a bear market consolidating before we turn bullish, right? So then you had this one, we pumped to the upside in 35 days. So the last one was 35 days, this one was 35 days, before it was 42. So at least what you can say is the maximum should be 42, but at the same time you should also understand this was 42, this was 35 and this was 35. That means either the next one should be 30 or again 35. But for this instance, I'm taking 42, giving the maximum time, being a little bit optimistic there. Now, if it's 30, what does it mean? We will consolidate and remain here for more time. Again, 10 days more, not just 56 days, instead 66 days. But this time, I'm being a little bit optimistic and say, I think after 56 days, we may move and we should reach this top. So this top is there, and if we reach by that time, it's 98 days. So in 100 days, we should be reaching a new top in the RSI. Whenever you reached a new top in the RSI here, you kind of see the first top, second, third. Cool. So when the fourth one comes, the price should be way higher than this, right? If I take you all the way back into the chart, what you do understand from there is this one here, the price was at the bottom around 0.17. Then this one, the price reached around 0.35. So price doubled, kind of 100%. Then from here, we came all the way back down and then moved up like 200-230%. Now, right now, if you look at the price, it's still in the same region, right? 4.6, 4.7, and this is kind of 0.78. Now, it didn't actually came back all the way down towards 0.3435 range. It's still hanging around 0.46. So that means if we are to start and reach there in 100 days, in 42 days, we would be ramping up, and 56 days, you still have time to gather your fiat, USDT, USDC, whatever, and then buy into this asset. Now, that's what I would be doing. I don't know what you think about this, but this is kind of an opportunity which I see. And if this happens and next time the RSI is going higher, looking at this trend, it does seem so, then that's going to be a missed opportunity if you're not prepared for this one right now. And I've seen guys who are in these kind of assets which are moving into that third wave, where probably they should be taking their profits and moving out. They're not doing that. They're sitting in the market. They're waiting for the market to go even higher when that asset has already done enormously. Now, if you measure that in terms of percentage of return on your investment from the bottom of the market cycle till the top which it put recently, that was actually a huge price fluctuation. Now, yeah, if you want to consider this even from here, that's still giant price fluctuation, right? So you don't actually want to be in an asset which actually already have gone like 100x, 200x or 300x. You don't want to be there. Say for SNX, it has done even way better. So those who rode this asset from the bottom, they made a ton of profits. But right now, it's not that time. At least personally, I don't think it's the right time to be there. Now, what do we actually see in XRP chart on a shorter time frame? I personally look at this like, okay, we had momentum here, but right now on a shorter time frame, we are not getting the momentum to the upside. That means chances are high that we may retest this bottom. Now, it's really important to note if you are looking at a double bottom so that the price kind of come here and then bounce back. Usually, now at this particular time, in every downturn, that would be kind of looking like a double bottom unless it breaks to the downside, right? So how would you reduce that? You would look at a support region and then anticipate the price is going to bounce here, making that a double bottom, right? So it's not actually a textbook double bottom, but it can be a double bottom in terms of crypto volatility. Now, that has to be considered in a manner that you're not going to miss that opportunity, right? So in this market, when you are seeing all these fluctuations, bounces, you kind of need to have something like this for all the different assets when you are trading. Not only this one, if you are trading, you also should know where the opportunity lies, because if you look at this market right now, there are some coins which are moving to the upside. There are some coins which shows you it broke a bar. It retested and it broke a bar successfully. So if you want all of these, you can look at the Patreon. The link is in the description. But again, I would say a little bit patience is cool. You can join on 1st of the next month so you don't double pay. Guys, I definitely believe you received value for your time, and if you did, please do support the channel. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done that already. Otherwise, I'll meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.